Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Alexis, and if you're not aware, I am a blind author, content creator, and freelancer. Both of my books are in the description, and hopefully I will have something out this year. Hopefully it is a second book in a series. If not, something else, I hope so. And if you would like to support me, you can get the books, or you can find me on Fiverr for beta reading services, as well as on Ko-fi. And with that out of the way, let me update you, I guess. First, I should say, I apologize. This video should have been up 2 weeks ago, but I got sick and also did not fully prepare enough videos for the time when I was last editing. I'm going to try to do that a bit more because I also have a trip coming up in May. So I should at least prepare enough videos for June, for Friday at the very least. Shorts can essentially wait, but for Friday at the very least, I should prepare more videos. But yeah, this was supposed to come the week after. I'm very glad though that I'm giving you this video because compared to the last review, this is definitely a palate cleanser. And we deserve a palate cleanser after the heaviness of the topic that was the last review. For any of you who watched it, I hope you were okay. And anyway, let's talk about writing updates for a little bit. Because we started a new year, I did end up doing my yearly word count. For anyone wondering, I do track my words. Usually I was only doing it at some point. I started every week, then I started doing it every month, and now I'm back to doing it every week. But the point being though is that I did track my word count for 2024, and I had a pretty good writing year overall. For 2024, I wrote 164,760 words with a monthly average of 13,730 words. And a weekly average of 1,368 words, and a daily average of approximately 451 words. And January, I started off with a pretty good writing month regarding words. I wrote, here are the word counts because I do have them. January 5th, 6,765, with a daily average of 1,353. January 12th, 3,983, with a daily average of 569. January 19th, 9,440 with a daily average of 1,348 words. January 26, 10,040 with a daily average of 1,434. January 31st, 5,460 with a daily average of 1,092. So for January, I actually wrote 35,688 words with a daily average of 1,151. I did not expect to hit over 30,000 words for January, but I'm kind of happy I did. And I know that I'm heading there this month as well, even though February is a bit of a shorter month. But I am essentially surpassing my goals that I had so far, and that's been fun. It's been very fun to see where I would go and how things would work out for me. So yeah, it was an interesting idea to see what would happen. But yeah, I had a pretty good writing month, and I started out the year pretty good. There have been other things. This is my last semester in college, which is part of the reason I have not been actually editing and anything. I haven't even been filming reviews for a while. I've sort of decided to just wait and edit all of this. Though I really should film some of the reviews, some of the stuff, but I have not. So this is my last semester. I should be graduating in May. Turns out I accidentally gave myself a present by buying that flight. So I should be graduating in May. I should be, after that, I have to look for work and stuff like that. But I have been, okay, so regarding other things with writing, I have been mostly working on first drafts, including a first draft of another project. Everything has been more first drafts than anything else. So I have been, I edited a little bit in January, but not as much as I would like in order to release the book I would like to release this year. I have complained about editing before. If you were around when I used to do a bunch of writing related videos, like vlogs and stuff like that, you know that I've complained about this before. Editing takes a lot of energy out of me, especially when you're just editing in Braille. So I've broken down in my head my writing in 3 different eras. It is the drafting era, the revision era, and then there's the proofreading era. So, drafting, when I'm doing my first drafts, this is my happy place. I think that editing and revising are the best parts of it, but they're not my happy place. They take too much energy. And then proofreading is, make sure that there are no typos, no random punctuations, no random equal signs, which I have had done, no random capitalization, things like that. But I think revising and editing is definitely the best part of the process. I actually really do enjoy it, despite the fact that it takes too much energy. But drafting is my happy place. So I'm currently looking for a solution for when editing, to edit faster, but also edit in a way that is essentially more, how would I call it? More efficient for me, because it takes less energy, especially now. So I'm thinking I might return to something like I used to do in high school. There was a point in time when I used to be using when I was using the computer to write and edit, and I had to listen to JAWS, the screen reader, essentially read everything to me. Sometimes I had to read by character, sometimes by word, to make sure the spacing was okay. Now, I don't plan to do that necessarily. I have 2 options. One is to just write my first draft in my Mantis Q40, which makes sense because I can take it anywhere, and then do the editing in my laptop and do like a bunch of the initial passes through my computer, and only do Braille for the proofreading era, and making sure there are no random capitalizations, no random stuff like that. So it's just all mostly audio. The other option is I would be editing that on Pages after I was done with my first draft. The other option is to essentially have my phone, open Pages on my phone, and have it, I think it's on presenter mode, that you can just read by paragraphs rather than screen mode, which is the one that's usually in. And then only touch my device when I'm going to add something and I'm going to actually be writing. That way I can perhaps it looks like it's just reading, and I can just have a bit more energy, and maybe it'll feel like it's like drafting era. I'm doing my best with that. I actually am not sure if that's going to work, and I haven't had the energy to try. I have 4 classes, homework for these classes, and I am still trying to figure out my sleep situation, because part of the reason I don't have much energy is because I don't sleep well all the time at night. I have resorted, at least for a month, because I don't have any more, to sleeping pills, because they were prescribed as well, because I need a solution to sleep for the night. And that has not been great. It has not been I have not loved it. I mean, I sleep through the night, but I was hopeful that there would be something else. But insurance sucks. It absolutely hates us, because what I have to do now is I've appealed to get a test in lab. So a long time ago, I haven't gotten a response actually, instead of getting a test at home, because a lot of these medical devices may not necessarily be accessible to me. And I essentially try to appeal to get it in lab. I might call my insurance and ask, hey, can I just pay for it out of pocket if you're not going to do anything? Because I would like to have an accessible test and not have to worry about whether it's going to be accessible or not. You know what I mean? I would really like that. So I'm gonna call them. I'm planning. I should put a to-do list and just do it on Tuesday, because that's when I might have some time, and that's it, because I need some answers. On other good news though, I bought myself a mini stepper, and I'm waiting for it to come on Amazon and see how I do, because I still go to the gym. I had like one bad experience. I don't think I shared my blog post with you, but I wrote about it. I had at least one bad experience in the gym, but most of it been good. But I still want a machine at home that I can work out at if I can't go to the gym, when the weather is bad, because I think I'll be going more in the summer. But when the weather is bad, and when it might be and when I'm in school, because right now I'm only going once a week. So when I'm in school and want to exercise in the morning, I'll have something there. And I decided to get a mini stepper because I was gonna get a walking pad, but one of them had a remote control and the other one had like an app, and it's like I gotta then figure out if that's accessible. The mini stepper, from what I have been able to figure out, you just kind of start pedaling and you're good. So the one I found anyway. So I decided to get the stepper. And hopefully it does not disappoint me. But with all these updates out of the way, I'm going to turn you over to Past Me in your regularly scheduled review. Enjoy the Overlord review. I'll see you on the other side with any more additions I want to add to this. So, anywho, take it away, Past Me. Okay, so it's been a little bit since I've reviewed an Overlord volume. I think the last Overlord light novel I reviewed was somewhere in December. Let me double check. I have to open the file. Hold on a sec. Let me see. I think it was December because I remember reading it, but I remember kind of like I remember reading it, but not but I can't remember the date I scheduled it for. Oh no, November of 2023. Wait, no. Yeah, November of 2023. Okay, I'm right. Okay, this is what happens when I'm recording in 2023, but most of this is for 2024 anyway. So yeah, that's yeah. So it's been a little bit since I reviewed a light novel, but I have finally read volume 8, and here we go. So let's read this synopsis, and then I'll give you my thoughts. I think there's gonna be a pretty short one because I don't have much to say on this one. So let's see. After being saved from danger by Ainz, Henry and the apothecary Infuria. Okay, it's weird to call Infuria an apothecary, by the way. And the apothecary Infuria have been living life to the fullest as they spend their days together in Karn village alongside their goblin guard neighbors. But after the wise king of the forest left the region, the balance of the forest has been disrupted and something has filled the vacuum of power. All right, so my thoughts on this book. The one thing I'll say is this book feels kind of like a filler book through the most part because of the way that because it feels like some of those things feel like like filler arcs, but things do happen that make sense. I think in the way that Ainz sort of that would benefit Ainz and the whole taking over the world thing. So it feels like a filler. They feel like filler episodes, but with a little bit more substance, if that makes sense, because they might eventually come back to be important. So that was interesting. I haven't read like a filler kind of light novel before, so that was interesting. The other thing I will say about this so far too is that I believe that this takes place during the Men of the Kingdom arc. It feels like it kind of takes place a little bit between it feels like it takes place in the Men of the Kingdom arc, mainly because Solution and Sebas are in the capital gathering intelligence. So it feels like this is definitely something that happens within the Men of the Kingdom arc. I would have argued that it was between them. It would have been like between the arc, between the Men of the Kingdom and Invaders of the Great Tomb, but it doesn't really feel like a between arc kind of book. It feels like it's happening within Men of the Kingdom, which in that case, I don't know why this is volume 8 and why this wasn't made to be volume like I don't know, maybe volume 7? I'm not sure if I like the placement of this book due to due to the fact that it takes place in due to the fact that it takes place it's or that it seems to be taking place in the Men of the Kingdom arc. I don't quite enjoy. I don't think I like the placement of this book. I feel like this would have been something that either should have been either it should have probably been like a maybe like a volume 7, or it could have been a or it could have been something that happens in like maybe somehow it's written there side by side, like as they're written side by side. Because by the way, and I only know this because I decided to look ahead. I haven't fully read the novel. I know for a fact that volume 9, that the events of volume 9, I believe it's volume 9, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's volume 9, takes place after the events of volume 7. I could be wrong, but I'm actually pretty sure it does. So yeah, because I know, because volume 7 sort of just ended, I believe it, if I remember correctly, the invaders got killed, but also there was some stuff with the Emperor, I think, of, there was some stuff with the Empire, I believe, if I remember correctly. Let me see if I can find that information, because I think that's how it works. I think that's kind of a thing, because in this case it does become, I think, very, I don't know. I don't like the I don't know, the placement feels weird. But then again, I also haven't read volumes 1 through 7. I haven't reread volumes 1 through 7, and I may eventually do so at some point. Just as a recap, or at least look for or at least read the plots stuff before, or reread plot stuff before I go to this, because since these are coming months at a time, for me on Audible, I don't have to, I think, reread them as often as other books I might have to if they come like once a year. So that's why I haven't done it, but I may have to look at it. But I do think this is the case. I will probably find out, and as I'm going to be looking through it for this information as I'm recording, because I do want to talk about another aspect of this book I like. And by the way, I was wrong. I think it's going to be a little bit longer than I thought, the video. But I do want to talk about another aspect of this book I actually really enjoyed, and that is something referenced by the title. Again, this is called The Two Leaders, and in this book we have two different stories. We have Henry's story as she is going through, as she is going to get a, god damn it, I keep getting these ads in this page. Okay, sorry. As she is going through the this quest to get adventurers to or to be, both to get people to move to the village, but also to see if she can get an adventurer to get rid of these monsters. Or and we also have Ainz's story where he is preparing to hopefully have a day off with the Guardians, but also trying to figure out himself as a leader, and trying to rehearse and get better as a leader so that the Guardians and everyone who basically serves him doesn't find any fault in his leadership. And this book is great with this because it's exploring the relationship between Henry and the goblins, and Ainz and his subordinates. And I think this is really interesting because the goblins have a similar mindset to the Guardians when it comes to how they're following the leaders. Pretty much everything that they do is dependent on what their leader orders, and they're not willing to go against the leader, and they're also very loyal to a fault, to a point where in the book, when things get really really bad, Infuria, once there's a spoiler, by the way. So Henry is the chief basically asks Henry to take his position, due to the fact that she's technically been doing a lot of stuff for the village, and the goblins pretty much help him because help them mainly because they because she asked them to, since she summoned them. Um, and the villagers mainly get along with the goblins because she does, and she's kind of the one that's really leading them. So he asked her to take his place and to become chief of the village, and she is unsure of this. And when she asks Infuria for advice, one of the things that he says is, even the goblins took her as a leader. Everybody kind of sees her as a leader, but the goblins specifically have a mind to say basically if anything happens, if anything really bad happens, they would take her away, and then they ask Infuria to follow with Nemu, her sister, to follow behind them, but they would let the entire village die. They don't. They help them, but they also don't care about them, and the main reason is because of the way that Henry treats them, which is like people. They're not seen as monsters. Meanwhile, the relationship between Ainz and his subordinates, as though it's similar, Ainz to a point does see, still see, is trying to is also sees them as people, but also still sees them as NPCs that his friends created. And also the NPCs also kind of see themselves as only loyal to basically their creators, in general, right? So I think the relationship is really interesting, and the goblins specifically are shown to be very caring when it comes to specifically to Henry, but really to anyone she cares about. So they really like there are these parts in the book where Infuria, where they realize, there's a part of the book where they realize that Infuria likes her, and they're trying to help Infuria kind of show his feelings and stuff like that, and they're trying to give him pointers, and it's so adorably funny. So their caring extends to anyone she cares about. Meanwhile, the Guardians are similar as well when it comes to Ainz, but the difference is that they see, this is not portrayed this way in the Goblins, but while Ainz is kind to humans, the Guardians are not, unless they're told to be. While the Goblins see I think the potential in humans, and they help them mainly because she cares about them, but they kind of understand that, and they don't seem to see humans as as like weaker in a way. They probably know it because of their strength, but also they're very much they very much work with the humans, and it while the other Guardians probably would not have wanted that. So I think it's a very interesting relationship between these two and the way that they lead, and how Ainz pretty much took to the role probably a little bit better than Henry. Now, Ainz did not want to originally do this, but then again, he was originally the leader of the guild, I believe. I believe he used to lead the guild, or I think all of them basically, I think had a thing, but I think he was like their leader of sorts. And it's really interesting because the way he leads is very is colored by his experiences as
as an office worker as well. So as an employee, and he looks at it as like what would happen if this happened with an employer. So he looks at it as like employer and employee kind of dynamic, and while Henry is trying to make things as equal as she can with the goblins and everyone around her, and also she it took her some time to realize that the goblins aren't necessarily seen as equals. It took her talking to Inferior to realize that the goblins aren't seen as equal, even though she sees them that way. Thus, why she has their respect. And I think that is a really interesting story device, because sometimes we're not going to see it. We're going to see people as equal, but that doesn't mean everybody else might see them that way. And I think that's really interesting, because while I might see some people as equal for whatever reason, other people may not. And I think that's a really interesting story. And I think I love the way it was explored in this book. I really do. I think this book, while I think it maybe shouldn't probably not have been volume 8, and it probably should have been on a different volume, maybe volume 7, this book should have probably come before this stuff, maybe even though, while I believe that to be the case, I think that the book explored this really, really well, and I really liked the way it all came up. Now I can't seem to find. Now I'm trying to find volume 9 information as we're talking, but the page keeps freezing, so I can't find what I'm looking for. So if I find it during editing, or if I can find it now before, if anything, I'll let you know, if anything. But I think overall, I think this book is good. Read it if you can. Read the Overlord light novels. I think it's really fun. This is really good. It has its moments of really great exploration, and I think they're fun to read, as well as just really interesting to explore, and it's also really cool for popcorn entertainment, or in that form. But this is that. I'll hopefully be back soon with another Overlord. I should be back hopefully with another Overlord review soon. I hope. I don't know when the 10th in this series, the 10th volume in this series is going to be on Audible. So I'll do my best to review it as soon as I can. But in the meantime, don't worry, there are going to be other reviews. I have another one coming next week. So I have something else, but hopefully that'll be soon. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I would really love to talk about this book and with you guys in the comment section. But yeah, let me know.
Okay, welcome back to the other side. Let's talk a little bit more about this review. I do have my thoughts. So I definitely, I was kind of waffling back and forth a bit in this video with me being unsure whether about the order. And I actually admittedly had another clip that I ended up recording explaining that I had found the answer to the question whether volume 9 was essentially a continuation of volume 7, but I decided to delete it. And instead, I'm just going to talk more at length in post-production, because it just makes more sense to me to talk about this and give an example as to how it would have, I guess, worked out really well. Okay, so based on everything, the Two Leaders takes place around the same time as the arc Men of the Kingdom, which was volumes 5 and 6. Because if you remember correctly, if you've seen these videos, Men of the Kingdom has 2 volumes. It's Men of the Kingdom Part 1 and Men of the Kingdom Part 2. Everything else so far in the volumes that I have reviewed besides this one, doesn't have a part 1 and part 2. Though later on, from what I was able to see in the series, there are other what is that called? There are other books in this series that do have, or other arcs, excuse me, that do have they do have parts 1 and 2. So that's at least good. But essentially, the two leaders does happen around the same time. I mentioned the fact that Solution and Sebas are at the capital, and so on and so forth. So, and this is a bit more, and this feels like it's going to be filler. Like, this definitely felt like anime, the kind of stuff you would watch in like the kind of filler arc you might watch in like Dragon Ball Z or something, or other anime that actually has filler. I'm bringing this up because the best order for that it's not confusing would have been, I definitely now am of the opinion that the best order would have been to place two leaders in volume 7, since it's happening since volumes 5 and 6, which are again part of the same arc. And the two leaders are essentially happening around the same time, and it would have worked out better, and they wouldn't be weird going, I'm going to read volume 7. Oh, cool. This is an arc, and we know, and then we find out some stuff, and it's like, and then you go to volume 8, it's like, okay, a filler arc, but wait, it's happening around the same time as Men of the Kingdom. And then volume 9 is continuing the Invaders of the Great Tomb. The order is weird. An example where you have two books essentially happening around the same time, like the stories are side by side, these things are happening side by side, is actually in Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. And I know that some people sometimes maybe want to skip this book, but I'm begging you, if you are just reading Throne of Glass, do not skip Tower of Dawn. Tower of Dawn is important. Yes, you do get some catching up in Kingdom of Ash, but barely. It will feel weird and awkward if you don't. Essentially, Tower of Dawn and Kingdom and Empire of Storms are stories that are occurring during the same time. We're seeing Aelin try to get allies, and along with her friends, and they're going on this journey and trying to do all this stuff, and are doing what they can to find to help Terrasen. Meanwhile, we have Kale, who arrives at, I should have said spoilers, but whatever. We have Kale who arrives in the southern empire, or like the southern continent, and is looking for help to be healed, as well as working as an ambassador for, as well as being Dorian's right hand, and eventually Terrasen's ambassador as well. I think she put him together. She also hired him as her ambassador for Terrasen, and looking for allies for Aelin and Dorian and everything. And we have both of these stories happening around the same time, but it is labeled as such in the way it's labeled in Throne of Glass. You have Empire of Storms. You have Empire of Storms, Throne of Glass book 5, and then you have Tower of Dawn, Throne of Glass book 6. You know that these are the right orders that you're supposed to read them in. There's not a Queen of Shadows, and then there's not like, I don't know, actually no, let's go this way. Heir of Fire, Tower of Dawn, and then Queen of Shadows, because that would make no sense, and it would confuse the order, because that would mean that we would have Tower of Dawn with a way before Kale essentially breaks his back and is no longer able to walk and does all this stuff. So the order of books does matter, and I do not understand how this order was conceived for Overlord. In the anime, I didn't finish the entire anime, but I did get here. In the anime, the way that this is set up is that you have the Men of the Kingdom arc, which is, I think, like 6 episodes or so. And then season 3 begins with this arc, the two leaders. And so the anime did end up correcting that and putting these together. Again, I don't understand what happened in the light novels. So that is my thought of this. It was weird. The order is weird. But at least I did have a good time, and there were good things to say about it. I do not know when my next Overlord review will be. I do have a couple of volumes on Audible that are on queue, but I'm trying to read other stuff as well. So I don't know when you'll get another review related to Overlord. It actually might be a year or two from now, especially because I have other reviews in the queue that I am attempting to get through so that I can schedule them out in advance, but hopefully soon. Next week, let's see what we have for next week. Next week I have a short, but the next long review is going to be for the School for Good Mothers. I should say this is a bit of a hard, again, I think a harder topic again, but I will say that this book definitely made me mad. It was a good book, but it got me mad, and I think this is weirdly very important to look at now. I think it feels important now considering our political climate. Speaking of that, I hope all of you are doing well, and I hope I gave you a couple, at least half an hour of just, entertainment and enjoyment and anything that comes with it. But with that out of the way, if you enjoyed this video, comment, comment, and subscribe. Definitely let me know what you thought about everything I have said, any update about the updates and the book. Have you read any of the Overlord light novels? Also, if you have not watched my previous reviews on Overlord, there will be a playlist in the description so that you can watch those. And what else? Oh, if you want to support the work that I do here, you can subscribe to my website, and as well, you have I have a blog there if you want to see my writing of all types. Honestly, it's chaos. Sometimes you'll get a book review, other times you'll get description critique, other times you'll get a poem, other times you'll get something else. So it is my creative chaos. It is my writing hub essentially. So if you want to see that, you can find my website there. You can also, if you want to support my work financially, you can make a one-off donation on Ko-fi. You can also buy my books through there. You can also find services for beta reading. My Fiverr is in the description as well. If you're looking for someone to give you a manuscript critique as a beta reader, I will provide you a detailed critique letter. If you would like, if you also are not interested in going through Fiverr, you can do it through Ko-fi as well, or you can email me. That's an option as well. Everything will be in the description. Also, my ebooks, you do have the link there for all the other retailers like Apple and Barnes & Noble and so on. They're available. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully I'll see you really soon. Hopefully next week, as I said. But until next time, consume stories. Bye.